The first video games and consoles weren't just novelties, they were the seeds of a global phenomenon. These early machines marked the beginning of a new form of entertainment. Video games would go on to captivate generations. Before the 1970s, computers were massive and expensive. They were mainly found in universities and research labs. The idea of a computer in every home used for playing games was unheard of. However, advances in technology, particularly the invention of the microchip, made this dream a reality. The first video games were rudimentary by today's standards. They featured simple graphics and basic gameplay, but they captured the imagination. They offered a glimpse into a future where digital worlds and interactive entertainment were possible. These early pioneers of electronic gaming set the stage for everything that followed. The consoles, the games, and the people who created them are the foundation of the multi-billion-dollar industry we know today. The first home video game console, the Magnavox Odyssey, hit the market in 1972. It was a far cry from the sleek consoles of today. The Odyssey was a large brown box with two controllers, each with a dial and a button. Inside, the Odyssey was relatively simple technology. It didn't use a microprocessor. Instead, it relied on transistors and diodes to create the game experience. The games themselves came on cartridges. These cartridges didn't contain game data in the modern sense. Instead, they acted as circuit boards that altered the console's internal circuitry to produce different games. The graphics were incredibly basic, consisting of simple colored blocks moving against a black background. Players had to use their imaginations to fill in the gaps. Despite its limitations, the Odyssey paved the way for future consoles. Other early consoles, like the Atari Home Pong, followed. They were released in 1975. These consoles were even more basic. They often only played a single game, a variation of the popular arcade game Pong. The first generation of video games was a time of experimentation. It was a time of discovering what worked and what didn't. Games were simple, often limited by the technology of the time, yet they were incredibly compelling. Pong, a digital version of table tennis, was a massive hit. It captivated players with its simple gameplay and competitive spirit. Other early games included racing games, shooting games, and even early attempts at sports games. These games were often abstract. They used simple shapes to represent characters and environments. The lack of detailed graphics forced players to use their imaginations. It helped create a different kind of engagement compared to modern, realistic games. Despite their simplicity, these early games were groundbreaking. They laid the foundation for game genres that are still popular today. They proved that video games could be a viable form of entertainment. The creation of these early video games required ingenuity and technical skill. This was a time before sophisticated game engines and development tools. Programmers had to work directly with the hardware. They often had to push the limits of what was possible. One such pioneer was Ralph Baer, the father of video games. He led the team at Sanders Associates that developed the Magnavox Odyssey. Baer's vision and technical expertise helped bring the first home console to life. Another key figure was Nolan Bushnell. He founded Atari and released the immensely popular arcade game Computer Space in 1971. Bushnell's company would go on to be a driving force in the early video game industry. He released the home version of Pong and a string of successful arcade games. These early game developers were pioneers in a new field. They were writing the rules as they went along. Their work not only entertained millions, but also laid the foundation for the video game industry. They created a new art form and a new form of entertainment. From Pong to Pac-Man, the arcade revolution. While home consoles were taking their first steps, a different kind of gaming was emerging in public spaces arcade games. These coin-operated machines, often found in amusement arcades and restaurants, offered a more social and immediate gaming experience. The success of Pong in 1972 ignited the arcade craze. Soon, arcades were filled with machines offering similar paddle-based games. However, it was the arrival of more complex and engaging games that truly solidified the arcade's place in popular culture. Space Invaders, released in 1978, took the world by storm. Its simple yet addictive gameplay, where players had to shoot descending aliens, had people hooked. arcades became social hubs, buzzing with excitement and competition. Pac-Man, released in 1980, further cemented the arcade's dominance. Its colorful characters, maze-based gameplay, and iconic soundtrack appealed to a wide audience. It became a global phenomenon, transcending cultural barriers. These arcade classics weren't just games, they were cultural touchstones. They influenced fashion, music, and language. They demonstrated the incredible potential of video games to entertain and captivate audiences worldwide. By the late 1970s, the first generation of home consoles was starting to wane. Technological advancements led to the arrival of the second generation. These new consoles offered improved graphics, better controllers, and a wider variety of games. The Atari 2600, released in 1977, became the dominant console of this era. Unlike its predecessors, the 2600 used cartridges that contained actual game data. This meant that developers could create more complex and varied games. The 2600 introduced color graphics and more sophisticated sound capabilities. Games like Space Invaders, Pac-Man, and Donkey Kong found a new home on the console, further blurring the line between arcade and home gaming. Other consoles, like the Intellivision and ColecoVision, offered their own unique features and game libraries. The competition was fierce, driving innovation and pushing the boundaries of what was possible in home gaming. This second generation of consoles saw video games evolve from simple novelties to a significant form of entertainment. Millions of homes now had consoles, and the stage was set for the industry's rapid growth. The early 1980s is often considered the golden age of arcade games. Arcades were at their peak of popularity, and a steady stream of innovative and addictive games kept players coming back for more. Space Invaders had ushered in a new era of arcade gaming. It was followed by a wave of classics, each pushing the boundaries of gameplay and technical capabilities. Asteroids, Defender, Galaxian, and countless others offered unique challenges and increasingly sophisticated graphics. Vector graphics, with their crisp lines and smooth animation, became synonymous with the arcade experience. The introduction of Donkey Kong in 1981 marked a turning point. Created by a young Nintendo designer named Shigeru Miyamoto, Donkey Kong featured colorful characters, multiple levels, and a compelling storyline. It was a massive hit and introduced the world to Mario, a character who would become an icon of the gaming world. The golden age of arcades was a time of incredible creativity and innovation. It cemented the arcade's place in popular culture and paved the way for the next generation of gaming consoles. While consoles and arcades battled for dominance, a new player emerged, the home computer. Initially used for tasks like word processing and programming, home computers like the Commodore 64, the ZX Spectrum, and the Apple II quickly became viable gaming platforms. The lower cost of home computers, compared to consoles, made them accessible to a wider audience. This led to a boom in game development. Small teams and independent programmers could create and distribute games more easily. Home computer games often emphasize creativity and ingenuity over graphical fidelity. Games like Elite, Jet Set Willy, and The Bard's Tale offered complex gameplay, compelling stories, and innovative game mechanics. The rise of home computers democratized game development. It fostered a vibrant and diverse gaming landscape. It laid the groundwork for the independent game development scene that thrives today. The early years of video games, from the first rudimentary consoles to the golden age of arcades, were a time of remarkable innovation. These early pioneers, driven by a passion for technology and entertainment, created an industry that would go on to captivate billions worldwide. The simple joys of Pong, the addictive gameplay of Space Invaders, and the colorful characters of Pac-Man captured the imaginations of a generation. They demonstrated the power of interactive entertainment and laid the foundation for what video games would become. The legacy of these early games is evident in every aspect of modern gaming. From the genres we play to the technology that powers our games, the influence of these pioneers is undeniable. Their creations weren't just games, they were the building blocks of a global phenomenon. The story of early video games is a testament to the power of human ingenuity and the enduring appeal of interactive entertainment. It's a story that continues to inspire and shape the world of video games today.